contractor, what am I doing here with this UCrew service? I'm not a tech guy, and I'm not here for my English, that's for sure. As you can imagine, not for my proficient language. The reason I'm here is because this whole service was generated out of a need that we had as a contractor in and around Atlanta in terms of our workforce, how to manage our workforce. For years we were struggling with all the challenges that all of us has in the workforce. I was looking for a service that is going to give us an opportunity to identify workers, dispatch them, manage the back office, all in one place, and it just wasn't there. And we tried all kinds of other different services. Yeah, there are places where you can maybe try to find workers, and yeah, there are places where maybe you can clock the time in. There are systems that you can clock the time in, but that just didn't do it for us. So after looking for so many years for something like that, I decided, you know what, if it's not there, I'll just build it and be done with it. So I got together with a group of developers, and we have been working on this for the past almost 2 years on the system, and the whole system is built and designed based on, and it's not necessarily contractors, but based on the needs of companies that are using a lot of hourly workers, that has a lot of fluctuation in the workforce, and has a lot of need of dispatching people to different places and control the dispatching, the communication, the management, and the reporting of these people. So we've been working on this for about a year and a half, or 2 years. The system is almost brand new. I mean, the system, we've been working with this for about 5 months. The system is out in the market for about 2 months. There is about 850 users on the system right now, and we're starting to introduce it to the market. This is going to be, we're going to try to do it very, very informal. So I'll just go through the service, what it does, and so on, and just feel free to ask me questions as we go along. Have conversations as we go along. It's not. It needs to be very informal. I didn't bring my suit. I didn't bring a tie, so we're gonna keep it. Like that. So what is UCrew in general? UCrew is a mobile and desktop service that is combining the social network components with the field management and reporting components in it into all-inclusive, all-in-one system. It basically creates an interactive on-demand network for the contractor, for companies, organizations, contractors, and workers to do all you need about with getting people to the job and manage them. So why did we even start with it? And I mentioned it in a few words. First of all, there is right now there is a shortage of labor across all industries. It is not only, you guys are sprinkler contractors, right? So it's not only in the construction industry, it's across industries there is shortage of manpower. But even before that, the challenges for companies and the amount of resources that it takes to dispatching people to different locations on a regular basis, communicate with them, making sure that they get there. Whoever is dealing with this know how much work there is around it and how much resources you need to invest in that, which doesn't necessarily give you the results that you want to, a lot of time you're dispatching people to the job, or you leave phone messages or texts or whatever, and you don't get an answer. You don't get an answer from anybody. And sometimes on location in the morning, you get 5 different people that you only needed 1 or 2. So all that combined, along with the change of the workforce culture, which we see in the last few years, where workers are not interested in long-term employment anymore. Workers wants to work where they want to, when they want to, and for whomever they want to. And that's a challenge. I'll just give you an example. If 5-6 years ago I would have told somebody, you need to go 60 miles to a job from here, and you're going to be there for 4 months, say, no problem, get in the car and go. If you'll try to tell somebody today that they need to do that, forget about it. They're not going to go there. They're not going to go there. Or they're going to tell you they're going to go and they're not going to show up because they're going to get something better or closer the next day. So that's the whole culture of the workforce has changed. In fact, all government statistics are saying that by 2020, at least 45% of the workforce is going to be contract laborers and freelancers. That's from the Department of Labor, and that's just, it's not an economic change based on the economic downturn or whatever. This is a complete change in the culture of the workforce. Somebody told me the other day, and it was interesting because it kind of tied everything in. They said the American dream is redefined. The definition of the American dream has changed. No longer people looking for a steady job with benefits and a long-term employment and maybe retirement plan and so on. The definition of the American dream for the workforce now is, I want to take my time to take care of myself and do the things that I want to do, and not having to be tied into anything in particular. And that was really interesting to hear that from a different perspective. The other thing is, and I touched a little bit about it, is the efficiency, the control, and the oversight of the workforce, the efficiency of dispatching people to the job, the oversight of the time and production, and the reporting to the back office, to the company, which again, this is just a day ongoing struggle from our perspective, and of course the government regulations, which I don't need to tell you guys what's going on with that. Sorry. There you go. Okay, so how does this whole thing work? The system is based, like every social network, is that every user creates their own profile. In their profile, they're defining what skills they can do. They have their address. They don't need to put any personal information. Users don't need to use tax ID numbers or social securities or any of that. Or any of that. The only thing that they need to put in is the closest address that they want to put to their house. If they want to have, or their business, if they want to have the exact address, they can put it in. If they just want to have the state, they can put that in. But they need some kind of a location, because the system is location based. Once the user is creating their profile, they can connect with other users that has the same skill as they do. So the connection is based on the skills that every user has. Every user can have as many skills as they want to, and they're going to connect with different people based on these skills. when they're creating their profile, they can also obviously load any document that they have, certifications, anything that they want to load to the system, they can load to the system to make them attractive to the companies, or for the companies to make it attractive to the workers or to the contractors. Once the user created their system, they can see all the other users that are available in the system that has the same skills, and they can ask to join their crew, to join their trusted network. Both sides of that transaction needs to approve it. So if somebody is getting a request to join a crew, the other side needs to approve it. Once both sides approve it, but they're both on the same crew, and they can start connect, where either they companies sending them invitations and they accept it, goes to jobs or whatever the relationship is. And the idea is here is that it is not incidental work. So the idea is that the user is creating long-term relationship with each other. So you can find you can put somewhere on there are sites that you can put on some work. Hey, I need a pipe fitter, and somebody's going to pop up that you don't know, and you can ask them to come to the job. The idea over here is that we as a company, and the same for the workers, we are maintaining a trusted crew, the people that we're going to every time that we have a task order. It can be 1,000 people, it doesn't matter, but we can manage our crew. If we want to throw somebody out of it, we throw somebody out of it, and if we see somebody that we like, that we want them to join, we can ask them to join. The users are being rated after each job. So there is an incentive to maintain a high level of production, a high level of performance, reliability, and so on and so forth. Once the job is done, once the bid is done, we call it a bid. Once the task order is done, then the supervisor on site is getting a pop-up, rate this user, rating from 1 to 5. And as the users are accumulating rating, you can see in the system also the ones that you want to, the ones that are available. If they have low rating, obviously you're not going to ask them to join your crew. If they have high rating, you probably going to want them to invite them to join.
I've got one for you.
Yeah.
Do the users get to rate the crews as well?
The company?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so that what that does is it allows you as a better company to attract more users. So if you treat your subcontractor right, if you treat your contractor right, you're going to get high rating. The most likely individual users in the systems are going to want to be on your crew. So it kind of creates an advantage to companies that are treating people better. If they invite you to the job, if they invite you to go to a job, the job is actually happening, they're not sending him out and finishing the job, and so on and so forth. And the system is also tracking, a superintendent on site is getting or anybody on location is getting a list of all the people that are getting there every day, and they have a button to check them in, a button to check them out, or if it's production based, unit rate, unit price, or a whole job price, to track their production, and the office picks up the reports from the system. So basically, you get it from identify we will talk from the company side. Identify subcontractors and workers that can work in your trade. Invite them to a task order, and get the reports all in one system. So go through a few of the screens just to give you a kind of a feel of how does the system look and how does the system work. So as I said, the system is mobile-based and desktop-based. So any one of our superintendent, for example, has it on his phone, has it on his iPad, and they're managing. They see on their phone and on their iPad their job or the jobs, if it's more than one, the jobs that they are responsible for. And we're going to see here the screens of the mobile. I can show you afterwards how it looks on the desktop, but basically the functions are the same. The look is almost identical. So this is how the first screen look. When you go in, you sign in. Every user sign in. Then building the profile. The profile has a picture with it. The idea with the picture is that they're not going to put a picture of their dog, that they're going to put a picture of themselves. So when your superintendent gets people on the job, they're going to see who they get. They're actually going to see who they get, so they can match photo with people. Some are doing it, some are not. I have some pictures of all kinds of horses, but that's beside the point. I'm not sure if that's how the person looks or it's an actual horse. Some of them are pretty close. And then you need to choose if you're going to set up as an individual, as an independent contractor, individual, or set up as a company. We're going to go through the company track because it's really not the individual track. It's not. I don't think it interests anybody at all. Then you build your company profile, which is the identity, the details of your company, including the address. You can upload your logo, and put in the skill where your company is interested in or industries that you're working in. Once you do that, you get to the screen of available crews and my crews. From here, you manage all of your crews. In the available crews, you can just see all the available companies and individuals that are on the system that are matching your skill, that particular skill. Every skill has to be identified separately. But you can see the ones that are. You can see a sample on the right-hand side where these are acoustic ceiling mechanics that are in the system. Some of them are companies. Some of them are individuals. I can invite them and I can offer them. I need to offer them how much I can. I don't need to. How much I'm going to pay them per hour, hourly, if the project is not based on unit price or a lump sum project. So that's a default, kind of a default in the system that you have in case of hourly work. When they accept it, they basically sign the contract with you on what they're going to be paid an hour or what they're going to be paid an hour. Let's go through. So once they accept that they're on my crew, you're going to see them on my crew, and you can start sending them invitations for task orders. Other settings that you have for the company, you can enter all of your locations, all of your work locations. You pretty much need to enter all of your work locations because the system is location-based. So when you send out the task order, you're going to pick from the running list, and the task order is going to be per job. You can put in a company team, so you can put in all of your supervisors, your accountant, your admin, your administration assistant, and you can give them permission what they can do in the system. So, for example, my superintendents, some of them can only check in and check out they're the people that are on their job. Some of them can also send invitations. My accountant or HR person, she can go in and see the report. Not everybody can see the report. So you can identify the user permission for each one of the users. There is a drop-down menu of all the roles that you can have in the system, and you can choose from that. Oops, hold on, let me go back there. One thing I want to mention, that you have an option when you set up your company or anytime thereafter to put in a master subcontractor agreement. So if you upload your master subcontractor agreement to the system, any users that accepts your invitation is basically accepting your subcontractor agreement. And you get when a user accepts it, you get a digital certification that they accepted it. Who the user is, which device they used, and so on and so forth. So you have some kind of a signature from them. Yeah, we signed the contract. The only thing that has changed is the hourly rate. That's the only thing that changes. From there you go to create a bid. If I were to spend 3-4 hours trying to get people to a certain job before, it takes me about 8 seconds to fill this thing out. It takes me about 8 seconds to fill this out and send it to my entire crew. Once they get it, they can say, okay, I accept it. Whoever accepts it first they're the one who's going to get to the job. And you can track who's I'll do it with this. How's that? Very sophisticated. Whoa! So, and you can manage in your B tabs. You'll see all the tabs down here, but in your bid tabs, you can manage your job. So you can look at the bid that you sent 2 hours ago and see who accepted it and who's going to show up on the job. And the same can see that your supervisor can see it also, who's going to be on their job. From here, you can also, if you want to remove somebody from the job, you can just click here, remove one from the job, and he's going to be removed. So you have a way to ongoing manage that particular bid, if you will, task order, the manpower on that task order. This is how the screens look. Where you have your projects, which we'll talk about in a minute. You have your bids, you have your crews, and the tab for all the rest of the menu. On your job screen, and by the way, the default open of the application comes out on the job screen. That's the default screen. So whenever you open it on your screen, it's going to show up on this screen. So you go straight to manage your jobs. For me as the admin and as the manager, I'm going to see all my jobs that are on that I have ongoing here. So I can check. Actually, I can check at any given time who showed up, when did they sign in, and so on and so forth. But what happens is my foreman, for example, on Canterbury Court, he's going to press that button. He's going to see a list of all the people that that are on his job that day. It's not correlated here between one and the other. But what he's going to see a list that looks like this. He's going to check the people in. He's going to check them out. It's all going to be on one list, and he's going to check them out. Once he did that, the report, my payroll person is pulling up the report at the end of the day, and we got all the time reported for that day.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The clocking in and clocking out, checking in, checking out, is it GPS? Does it provide GPS location?
No, it does not. You do have the if you send somebody to a job that you trust, to allow for self-check-in. So when you send the bid, you can allow self-check-in if it's somebody that you trust. And there is a reason behind it. I don't know that it's good or not, but there is a reason behind why it's not GPS. There is a lot of pushback on the GPS tracking from workers, and it's they most likely not to use it because of that. That's just a feedback that we got from different industries that using the GPS tracking as a. The question is, the workers themselves not checking themselves in and out. The supervisor is. So whoever is your supervisor on the job, he's the one who's clear. That's on his phone, not on the worker's phone, unless you allow for self-checking. From here you can. That's just the report. The reports you can get your reports on the mobile device, which is a little more limited, or from the office on the desktop. You can get your reports on screen and print off from the screen, or you can open the report in an Excel spreadsheet that you get all the people, and you can import it into your payroll system. The reports, you can get hourly report, you can get cost report, and you can get production report. So if you have an hourly rate with everybody, you can pull up how much you have to pay them at the end of the week, based on the time that was clocked in and out. And the same with time, you're just going to get all the time reports, and the same with the production. If it's a unit rate, if you're doing it by linear feet of wire or linear feet of pipe, then whatever your supervisor put in as how many linear feet he put in, then this is how the cost report is going to come up. So this kind of like the general screen. It's got a lot of different options, which I didn't want to. This is a general process. The highlights of this for us after using it for so long is that it's increasing the reliability, first of all, of people showing up to the job. Because the system is location-based, they get all the details of where they need to be. They know how far it is from where they at. They can push a button from the bid that they get, the workers, and it gives them direction to the job. It connects to their map, map in their mobile, and it gives them direction to the job. It gives them the name of the supervisor. It gives them a way to communicate with them, message with them, or call them. It gives it to them on their bid. But we increased in a month. We increased our exposure to people that we didn't have before about 30%. So that's a lot, and it's growing every day. And the reliability of people showing up on the job and actually accepting the bid, it grown tremendously. And the reason for it, because again, they see where the job is, they want to go to that job because it's close to them, or it's the hours that they like, or whatever, or it's for a superintendent that they like. So some people don't like some of the superintendents, and they're not going to show up once they find out who that is.
Does it run on Android and iPhone?
Yeah. And as the system grows, when you get into the system and you see how many people are in your trade or skill, you see what they're rating. That means that they already got vetted by other people, and they're most likely is most likely to be a better worker, more reliable, or any of that. My time and my office time of delivering the task orders, the dispatching, the communicating with the guys, where to go, who to find, picking up the time reports from the field. My time was cut in about at least 30%. That's my time. My HR person time, it's maybe 20%. Her time was cut picking up the time from the field. So from company efficiency perspective, it made a tremendous change in our operation. The other thing that we find very, very helpful is that we can actually track during the time after we send out the bid who accepted it and what is our fulfillment rate. Let's say I need 10 people on a certain job in 2 days. Once I send it out, I can start tracking that and see how many accepted it. What is our fulfillment rate, which we didn't have before. I could have called that subcontractor and that subcontractor and that subcontractor, get some kind of a vague answers, not really know what's until the morning of whoever is showing up or not showing up. So that helped us a lot. We find that there is a competition now between the subcontractors and the workers to accept it fast, because they know that if they don't accept it, it's blocked. Once the job is fulfilled, you can't accept it anymore. Let's say you got a bid, but it's people already took it. So I'm getting a phone call. Hey, can you send me this bid again? I can't find it. Well, you can't find it because it was fulfilled. Tough luck. You have to be quicker next time. And then obviously I talked about it a little bit before, is that we find that the reliability of showing up is a lot bigger. There is a function to it that we really don't see, we really don't use much. But let's say you're under pressure and people did not show up, and you need people to show up today. You can actually override the system and say, okay, I'm going to pay $25 an hour instead of $20 an hour for these 3 days. Come here now. So they may leave somebody else that's not working for you and come to work for you. Who knows? But it's you getting them incentivized to kind of like a quick response. If you need a quick response to a situation that you had, you can do that. And we talked about the fact that all the workers and subcontractors are actually signing or agreeing to your subcontractor agreement once the employment agreement once they own it. And the last thing I want to mention is that the system doesn't have any subscription fee to use. So, first of all, for the individual workers, it doesn't cost anything, never. And for us as a company, only what we're using, we're paying for. And the fee is very, very small. If I'll give you an example, the fee for me on a metal framer is 98 cents a day. So that's a guy that gets paid $150, $160 a day. For me, the 98 cents worth my time, my HR time, and everything else around the system. Well, right now they're not charging until the end of the year as an introduction. So it starts after the year. But the idea is you don't use it, you're not paying. The way. So let's kind of to conclude this. For us as a company that has a lot of fluctuation in workforce, that has a lot of different locations to manage, that have all these challenges to deal with. For us, it's a game-changing service. Now, it's not because I thought about it, but it's because it was built to answer all these challenges. And I've been in this business for a long time, and I try to give these guys all the background and all the tools that they need in order to develop a system that is really working for companies. I'm going to work for the workers, by the way, because they can they have a lot of exposure like that.
Are you finding that, like, I think I know in your business and some other building trades, there are, sort of crews out there already that, maybe are not registered in a network yet, but they have sort of a crew leader and, maybe a half dozen guys, and some of those guys actually kind of move around together and provide their own workers' comp.
Right.
I mean, what are you finding sort of developing now within this? Is that more the example, or is that the sort of the?
So that's for us is almost the rule.
Yeah.
That's for us as a user is almost the rule. So what happens in that is that these companies, these people are setting themselves up as a company in the system. They have all their people in the system as users. When we send them a bid or a task order, they have the option to forward it to all their guys. And when they forward it to all their guys are accepting it. And actually, my superintendent on the side, he sees all the people their guys, but he sees also who they came through, so who they came from. So let's say I have subcontractors, doesn't matter, Joe Schmo, and they're going to see the name of the workers that is working on their side, and that they came from Joe Schmo's company.
And you'll
That-
Joe Schmo's company upload a certificate of insurance on workers' comp? or-
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can.
Okay.
They can, or they can send it to you direct.
Right.
The other thing that I see with that is that if a subcontractor is working for me, let's say on a unit price base, at least my superintendent knows all the people that are on his job. He knows that these guys are on his job, so that's a great benefit. What we try to do is we try to consolidate the needs of the companies, the workers, and kind of mash it into an all-in-one system that may looks a little complicated, but when we started working with it, it's just flowing. It gives everybody what they need, the small portion of what they need, and it really changed our business. That's pretty much it. For me, it's open for discussion. If there's any questions.
I have a question. Sound like this is an app that's just out there, and it costs to use it, of course, eventually, and you can use it to. I'm just trying to make sure I understand what you're saying. It's like you do drywall, so you hire a lot of sub crews probably,
Right.
and that's what you're using it for mostly. Will it work for like companies looking for individuals?
Yeah.
So we would hire that guy, I guess, if we.
You don't have to hire. You don't have to hire him. I mean, you can if you're hiring on
You can use them as 1099.
That's what I was going to say. It's either that or 299 on our.
You can do it both ways. The system doesn't define for you if they're 1099s or if they're employees. You can do it in two different ways. But you hire you can hire individuals as 1099s. You can see I have maybe I don't want to get out of it, but I have a list of 100 installators. But I can invite them as individuals, and I can invite companies that are registered in the system. So I can send it to them direct. Now I also don't have to send it to the whole. If I send a task order, I don't have to send it to the whole 200 people I have in that skill. I can choose.
Based on their ratings.
The what?
I mean, you can possibly base it on their ratings if they're.
Well, if I don't want them to be on my crew, I'm just gonna throw them out of the crew. But if let's say I have 200 insulators on my crew, I can pick and choose who I want to, or I can just populate it to all of them in one push of a button. So the idea is that you're gonna, or the idea, you can communicate directly with each one of them. Now, if you were to ask me, why would the subcontractors didn't get on it? Well, we have reasons. We have reasons. We have reasons why we're working through subcontractors in some of the work we do, right? I mean, that's we're doing it for a reason. We have 5,000 phone numbers in the system of people we can reach direct. Or I have all the phone number of all the guys that are working on our jobs through subcontractors, and we can reach them direct. But there is a reason why we all work through subcontractors. And in terms of the fee on the system, we provided a mechanism that if you are working through subcontractor, you're actually paying 30% less fee. So we're not cutting off the subcontractors so they're not going to feel like they're being cut out of the system. Show you how the desktop look. So this is how the desktop look. So it's basically looks almost the same. So I have this is from this morning. I have these guys on the job. These guys went home. I can see that these guys went home, right? But I see that these guys didn't show up over here. So I can track it on a regular basis. I can see it on my phone. I can see it here because I'm the admin. I'll see all my jobs. And if we look at the calendar, what the guys see on their phones, they're going to see the calendar, and they're going to have these orange tabs where they have work, and it's going to be white where they don't have it. So they can look up and see, okay, in 3 days I don't have anything coming up. I need to start looking at what am I going to do then. The one thing that so if somebody is tied in a task order, for the duration of the task order, they're not going to get bids from anybody else in the system. So they're pretty much blocked for this. So somebody can't offer them $2 more than that you pay them and just snatch them from you. Well, they can call them, but through the system they can do it. So that's what they see. What they see on theirs, they can see also the report of what was reported for them in terms of time, or in terms of production. If I'm going to go to generate the report, I can generate a daily report here of all the total hours. I can do it on the screen. Obviously, there's nothing here yet because it's today's date. If I'll go back here, I can do it on the screen. I can do it on the screen here, right? And I can choose here to cut it by the subcontractor, or these people are working for me direct, by the subcontractor, or I can cut it by the location. If I'll push here, it's going to be by the location, by the supervisor, by the trade, and so on and so forth. And I can generate this, and I can print it from here, or I can generate an Excel spreadsheet report where I can do whatever I want with it. That's pretty much it. This is how the cruise looks like for the work today. That's what happens, yeah. Okay, so I got my crews over here. I know that that there is 42 registered to the acoustic ceilings. I invited the 142. 84 are still waiting to approve my request. They just don't want to approve my request, which is, so here I manage it. I can see the available crews. I can see on each one of them how many do I have. So I can go in here. It's gonna load them up. I'll look at this guy. I can't open his stuff for some reason. I need to check that, but basically you can open their profile over here and see what they have in their profile. Now, when the guys are going in and they putting their skills in the system, they're also defining how far they want to travel to their jobs. So, if they, for example, say 50 miles from the 50 miles, they're not going to get invitations that are 50 miles away from their address that they put in the system. So if somebody's in Gainesville and they're not going to in Gainesville, Georgia, they're not going to get invitations to do jobs in all over the country just because they have a skill of pipe fitter. That's basically it.
At this point, is it pretty Atlanta-centric, or has it grown over the nation?
It's growing every day. I mean, it's not a tremendous growing. It's growing pretty slowly, which is okay because we really didn't start marketing in a massive way. What we did when we started using it, we required all our guys, all our subcontractors to get on it. We encouraged all our guys to introduce it to their friends, and this is how it's growing. It's growing for us in about. In the beginning it was more, but now it's growing for me about 5 people a day for each skill. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good growing rate.
And it's working. I mean, you're managing all these crews.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it seems pretty cool.
Yeah. So you get laborers, you get whatever. You can see somebody's tattoo. Who cares about your tattoo, right? But the idea is that people are going to put their picture on it, so you can. And that's primarily for,
But you can't force them to.
No, but that's primarily for identification on job purposes. It's not to see who's. But my superintendents like to see who's coming, who's getting to their jobs, and who's not, and they actually confirm that the ones that needs to be there, they are the one who's there. The other nice thing about it is that nobody has access to it other than my superintendent. So nobody can just write somebody else's name in if they get to the job, or if they leave in the middle of the day, they can't just leave in the middle of the day without. My superintendent needs to see them at the end of the day so he can check them out. So. That's pretty much it.
Thanks for showing it to us.
It's
You reported, I think, 850 active users currently. Of that, how many trades are represented currently? Are we looking at, is that 850?
Primarily my trade. Primarily my trade. There is a little bit of others, but primarily mine because I got it first of all through my network.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there any plans for further development into other trades?
Yeah, I mean that's.
Or is that, is that something that's going to come back upon us? Because, currently we can go out and we can find sub-crews and we know their phone numbers.
Right.
But, it'd be great if there was, if there's somebody out there that's promoting this, getting other sub-crews that we don't know of yet.
We started promoting it to general contractors, we started promoting it. We were just now starting promoting it more heavily. So right now, we expect a lot more people to get to get on it from different trades. Yeah, and for me, it wasn't only to add more people to my network. For me, it was also to be able to kind of manage the day-to-day too. Because, yeah, I know everybody's phone number, you know?
Yeah.
But it's, how many times?
It seems way more efficient.
How many hours a day? How many hours a day am I spending doing this? You know, that's a question. How many hours during the business day, and how many hours until 10 o'clock at night I'm doing this? So, you know, for me, and also it's an opportunity for all of the people that are already in the system to introduce them to other people and get them on it. Downloads are free. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. You know, they're really not required. They don't have to put in social security numbers or anything that is kind of, you know, it's not any government related system. So there's nothing for them to basically lose doing that.
Strictly labor management and
Yeah, but certainly as it goes out to the market more and more, you're increasing your exposure to people that are in your trade that are getting on it, and you see other people that are in your trade that are getting on it. So obviously, because it's only in the beginning, there's not that many. But yes, to answer your question, yes, that goes out to massive marketing. That's the next step. We wanted to make sure that it does everything we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure that it works the way we think that it should work, and that's why we kind of took our time through the development and through making some changes to it that is gonna, and obviously they're working on some more features, and I mean the things that the system is gonna be a lot, is gonna add features all the time, but that's just the nature of the beast.
On projects where you're doing like lump sum, you know, generally they're going to be larger projects. Maybe you're going to have draws throughout there. Is there a way to manage progress through this now?
Yeah.
And handle all the paperwork as far as draws come from the sub sending them in, or are you still having separate paperwork sent in whenever you're doing draws?
To your customers, to let's say the GC?
Yeah.
No, you have to do it separately. It's not,
Okay.
and every GC has a different.
Well, I mean, I was
requirements.
just looking at it like, if we were using a sub crew and, their draws are based on progress. We've done X amount and, and so we require, X, Y,
From
and Z.
for them to draw from you?
Yes.
Well, what,
We have.
you have a supervisor on site, right?
Well,
Or you don't?
No.
It doesn't matter. So they do whatever they do. If you allow them to self-check in, they can put in the percentage complete, and you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it on your report. Now, if you require them to fill up certain paperwork that like lien waivers and stuff like that, that's a different story. But if you allow them to self-check, to self-report it, they're going to be able to self-report it, and you're going to be able to put it on your report.
okay.
Yeah. That's.
It's interesting. It seems like there's a number of trades that this will benefit from.
Well, right now there is about 170 or 180 skills built into the system. Not only in construction, but there's about 180 skills built into the system. So the skills are built into the system. If somebody sees something that is missing, it's a quick email to support, and they're adding it in no time and can add anything that needs to be added, but they try to cover a good range of the skills that are needed.
What languages are supported?
They're all here.
Is it?
Yeah. The developers are here, they're all,
And it's-
they say they have pretty much the same language, the same English that I have, which is pretty bad, but they all have accents.
But it's all in English, though, there's no Spanish.
So it's all, they're all here, and actually, they're even all in Atlanta,
Yeah.
but,
I mean, I got some subs that I've worked with for years that just literally need a translator in order to, set up the job.
yeah. So that's an interesting point, because obviously, most of our workforce is Spanish.
Yeah.
We don't find any issues with them. And I actually went back and checked with them, and they would rather the app to be in Spanish, but then nobody else is going to be able. Nobody that speaks English is going to be able to understand it, what they write in. So none of them has a problem with the fact that it's in English. To tell you that there's not going to be a Spanish version to it, there probably will be.
Yeah.
But right now it's in English, and the supporting is in English. But
As you grow, we'll see.
the what?
As you grow, it might change.
Yeah.
They're probably come out with a way of just.
Yeah.
All the boxes will be in Spanish.
Google Translate it.
Yeah. That's not too far off.
Yeah, you're gonna say I need a pipe fitter. You're gonna get an electrician. That's how Google Translate works.
Thank you so much for doing this. This is
Well,
pretty
thank you for.
We can say we knew you when you were a contractor. Once this takes off. And you're like,
No, I am a contractor. I'll always be a contractor. I was born that way.
It's a defect.
But yeah, I mean, if you guys want more information, you can call me. You can contact me. I can go through WebEx with you guys, or the people at your office. If you want to put it on WebEx, show you how it works on mine, I'll be happy to do that. It's.
I know I'm going to share it with some other clients because, you're not the only one that manages labor similarly.
That single-handedly was the hardest thing that we. That's the hardest thing. That was the hardest thing for us to do for years. It was for years. That's the hardest thing for us to do. Is to be able to maintain the stamina to call everybody. Phone calls, right? Phone calls or text. You call, nobody calls back. You call the other one, he doesn't call back. You call the third one, you text the fourth one. You get a text at 11 o'clock at night, no, I can't go. Or, that's the hardest thing. And for our supervisors, not to know who's coming in the morning, it's also all of a sudden they call me, why do I have these guys over here? Why do I have these guys over here? What are these guys doing? All this, and all that has been, all that just went away. Yeah, it's like just like that. It's just that's why for us as the company is so significant.
Thanks so much. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.